Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Killer Bee. And as always, it is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start with our shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add honey syrup, which I've already made. It's just equal parts honey and water. This is 1 1/2 ounces for one cocktail. Next, we're going to add mezcal. Or tequila. 2 ounces. 2 ounces mezcal. 2 ounces. That's a lot. Finally, 1 1/2 ounces freshly squeezed lemon juice from the plastic bottle. 1 1/2 ounces. That sounds like a lot of lemon. Probably going to be too much for me. We'll see. There you go. Pretty simple. 3 ingredients. Next, we shake vigorously for 10 seconds. If we are serving it on the rocks, which I am. And then we're going to strain it into our old-fashioned glass. Ooh-wee, look at there, boys and girls. It's like I planned it. Alright, let's see. Killer Bee. I thought it would be too much lemon, but it's not. Yeah, pretty good. It's a crisp, refreshing summer drink. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Bees are lovely little creatures, buzzing around, benefiting both us and the environment. But in this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, The Deadly Bees, all that happy buzzing turns quite menacing. I bet most of you enjoy every summer without much concern for the bees around you. But if you listen to this podcast, you know that every summer is a summer of the deadly bees for me. So I think we should all stay away from the stingers this year. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
It's what we do.
Karen, I believe this film was your choice, was it? Was it not?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for us this week, Karen?
I've chosen the movie The Deadly Bees from 1966.
Do you remember 1966, Karen?
I do not.
Okay, if you don't, I guess I don't either. Because you're way older than me.
Yes, I
Any
am.
reason you chose this film, Karen?
No, it's kind of one of those face your fears kind of movies.
Are you afraid of?
Death, yes.
I was going to say the British Isles, but
Of the bees, the swarms of bees. It's kind of a nightmare.
oh, okay.
Getting close to summertime, the bees are out. The bees are out now.
You get a little bit of shock, do you, if you get stung, Karen? Little anaphylactic shock, maybe.
I hope not.
Okay.
I haven't been stung by a honeybee since that all happened.
Okay.
Knock on wood. Jesus.
So you don't know. You don't know how you would. You'd probably be fine. It'll be fine. Just put some
Oh,
ice on
sure.
it.
Who needs to breathe? Shake it off. Put a little dirt on it.
I guess that's as good as a reason as any. It is getting warmer, Karen. A lot warmer, actually. Hell, Mother's Day was just, a couple weeks ago. I thought you would have picked like a Mother Day film or something, but whatever.
That was your week.
Oh, well, whatever. Fine.
There are some good Mother's Day ones out there, though. Next time.
Do we have a cocktail to enjoy while watching this movie and discussing it?
We do. It's called The Killer Bee.
And how would we make that concoction, Karen?
You're going to need 1.5 ounces of honey, 2 ounces of mezcal, 1.5 ounces of freshly squeezed lemon juice from one lemon. I don't know if that means you can only get juice from one lemon. If you get 2 lemons, it's going to be ruined. So first, you're going to make the honey syrup in a small bowl. Combine the honey with 1.5 ounces of water.
So I'm going to stop you right there. So honey syrup is basically 1 part water to 1 part honey.
Yeah.
But they want you to make twice as much as you'll need.
Well, they think their drink is so good, you're going to have another.
I made just as much as we needed.
Okay. Well,
it's fine. So.
You're a smarty pants.
Go on.
I can always add extra sugar to my drinks and be happy. In a cocktail shaker, combine the mezcal, lemon juice, and 3/4 ounce of the honey syrup. You save the remaining honey syrup for another cocktail. It says right in the directions, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
Fill the shaker 3/4 of the way with ice and shake vigorously for 10 seconds if serving on the rocks, or 15 seconds if serving up. Yes. Strain into an ice-filled double old-fashioned glass or bucket glass, or you can serve it with no ice. It's from epicurious.com. It is a twist on the classic cocktail called the Bee's Knees, which is a light and refreshing drink made with gin, lemon, and honey syrup. This one is smokier and more aggressive. That's why they call it the Killer Bee.
Yes. And what did you use for your mezcal?
I just used Blanco tequila.
I did too, Karen.
That's what I had. So
because I liked it the last drink we had, so I used it again.
I'm almost out of mine.
I could have used the Jose Cuervo, but I didn't. I don't like it as much. Gold tequila, whatever. But what is mezcal? What is the definition of mezcal, Karen? Do you know?
I do not.
I believe it's any spirit fermented with agave or something like that. Agave, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's right, actually.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm like you said, I'm kind of smarty pants.
Yes, you are.
So tequila does fit the definition. Any type of tequila, really.
True.
All right. Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own Killer Bee cocktail?
Yes, we should.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
All right, Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film for us?
I have a very brief one.
Go on. Tell us all the story about deadly bees.
Horror about an exhausted pop star who goes to an island to take a break from her hectic schedule, but soon finds herself in the middle of a vicious swarm of killer bees.
We are a match, Karen.
It's not a great one.
No, but it's factual. But I didn't even realize that she was a pop star until she started lip syncing, but we'll get to it. So I guess I
Yeah,
didn't
it's a
pay much
strange,
attention to my synopsis.
yeah, well, it's a strange career to give the person, but I guess who else would need a break from her hectic schedule? A pop star fits the bill.
And apparently she's popular, Karen, across the
Yes.
pond, as they say.
She's not a pop star to begin with, is she? She's an actress, right?
Yes, correct.
She's not a pop star playing a pop star.
Correct. She is an actress. And we have seen her before, Karen.
No, she looks like Elizabeth Montgomery.
She does a little bit. I don't like her hair in this one. I liked her much better in our previous movie.
Which was?
Lust for a Vampire, Karen.
Ah, okay.
She played the like the gym teacher or the
Oh, yeah,
phys
yeah,
ed
yeah.
teacher who's out there dancing in their skimpy
Yes.
little gowns
Yes.
and
I can
she's
see
the
why you
smarty
like
pants
that better.
too. She is the smarty pants in that film too. She's the one that's kind of suspicious of everything that's going on
True.
and forces the head mistress to
Tell the parents.
tell the
Yeah.
parents and everything. Yep. All right, but we digress. Tell me, Karen, everything you really enjoyed or were pleasantly surprised by in this film. Things that made you go, ooh, that's kind of neat. I like that.
Um,
That's my impression of Karen.
oh, of me?
Yes.
Wow, you could
That's
hardly tell
kind
the
of
difference.
neat. I like that. All right,
Wow.
moving on.
I'll try to say that from now on. The story's kind of interesting, a little bit, if that was possible to mind control your bees and have them attack people. Kind of, that would be a good horror story. I think acting was okay. I mean, she was a good female lead. I think she carried the film well. She was an interesting character. She was observant. She didn't quite always make the right decisions, but she was an active character trying to figure things out and all that. So, the sets were good. Of course, the clothes are they're fine. She looked like a pop star versus, the farm people and things like that. They killed the dog though.
Spoilers.
That's probably it. I guess there's a little bit of sequel potential, but it's not as
Yeah, there is.
obvious.
I think there is.
Yeah, but it's not as obvious
I
as
think it's
like
pretty obvious, but
there's not one bee flying over or something like I like to see.
okay, there's a whole freaking hive, probably.
Yeah. What about you? Did you like anything?
I agree the story's good. It's based on a novel by W.F. Hurd called A Taste of Honey, which we see in the credits. And it's written by it's adapted for the movie by the same guy who adapted the novel Psycho for a Hitchcock film.
There are some Hitchcockian type of
Oh yeah, there's
scenes in it.
There's the Hitchcock blonde, right? She's a
There's the Hitchcock
Hitchcock
blonde. It's a little reminiscent of the Birds,
It
a
is.
little bit once in a while, with just the Hitchcock blonde being attacked and things like that. So that was interesting. You can it's an homage or an outright steal, but they were good scenes, and they definitely called back to the Birds for sure.
Yeah, so the Birds came out in 63, so this came out 3 years afterward.
You did get to see Ronnie Wood.
Yeah, yes, you did.
Plus,
Is it?
well, interesting. I mean, I didn't expect it.
I liked his guitar. I'll say that.
I mean, certainly. Oh, whoa, okay.
So you recognized him right away without knowing
Well, they said it was
beforehand?
the Birds.
Yeah. And you just knew that Ronnie Wood was in the Birds?
Yes.
Not to be confused with the Birds with a Y.
Yeah.
All right.
I know
So-
some things.
Yeah. Good, Karen. So I did like the story. The sets I thought were good, especially once I realized that, oh my God, all those backgrounds are like murals painted. So like the house and everything is on a soundstage. They built it and it looks really good. Even down to like the locks on the doors. And
Yeah, I
noticed
agree.
especially like they had like the deadbolt at the top of the door and
And the walls didn't move
no,
or anything
it
like
looked like a
that.
house.
Yes, it
But it
definitely
was-
did.
But
The windows, all
once
of
they
it.
go outside and you see, oh, that's a painting. You're like, oh, well, some of it is, outside, but a lot of the interiors in the farm shit is done on a soundstage. So they were well done. I agree. The wardrobes were good. She had 3 suitcases full of sweaters.
And hat. She had a good hat in there too. But that's a detail. A pop star would have a lot of luggage.
True, I guess. Needs all those designer dresses and shit to go to the farm. But yeah, that was fine. Acting, I wasn't mad at any of them. I thought they were all fine. I thought they were all good. I feel like I like this film better than you already. But maybe you're traumatized by the bees. Special
Yes.
effects weren't great.
Are we moving on?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's move on.
Special effects weren't good at all, even for the 70s, I don't think.
Well, it was 66 though.
Or 66, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Well, the birds seem
The
better.
birds is earlier and it was better.
Yeah. But it's probably easier to make birds than bees. Bees are little, but there were some shots where there were actual bees like on their heads and hands and stuff. That did freak me out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking, who's the stunt guy who's like putting his hands or arm out there or whatever and having bees sting him repeatedly so they can get a close-up shot of it, injecting their stingers in and then
Yes.
pulling away and then dying, giving
leaving
their
the
life for
poison
this
behind.
for this film. Poor bees.
It probably was stock film.
I thought that might have been as well.
Yeah, special effects were a little lacking. There's kind of
just the bees part, just the bees.
Yeah, just the bees. The
swarms.
There were some really good bee stuff in it too.
There was a lot of good bee stuff.
So it was more like when they attacked. That was what was iffy about it.
The plastic flies painted to look like bees didn't really work well when they pasted them on the actresses and actors' faces and things.
There's kind of a disconnect for me. I mean, she's a pop star. They keep saying she's exhausted, and they keep saying she has a mental breakdown kind of, and they just send her to this island where no one pays any attention to her recovery to see if she's okay. They just send her there because it's the doctor's buddy. There's
her agent does call to be sure she arrived.
Yeah, but that's it. But if she really had issues, it was just kind of funny. Just go to the country. You'll be fine.
She is with the doctor's buddy. I'm sure if there was an issue, he would have called the doctor when his phone was working.
Yes. And the twist wasn't really you could see it coming, right?
I wrote down the exact time that I knew for sure.
So it's supposed to be this big twist reveal at the end, but you already know. So that little
just because they were like leading you one way so heavily.
Right. They didn't ever.
I'm like,
they didn't ever
they're
really
leading me
make
the wrong way, and I don't trust that guy anyway.
Right. I mean, the husband and wife are a little one-dimensional. They don't like each other. It's obvious, but why did it have to? I guess because the wife dies, so I guess she's a victim. That's why.
So you have to have that conflict to point the blame in one direction.
The only other real criticism I have is it's very slow. It takes a long time to get to things that we kind of already know. It almost could be a 1-hour television special. Like it didn't need a lot of the extra stuff that they kept trying to set up and set. Yes, okay, the neighbors hate each other. We don't need more and more and more of that. There were a lot of montages that just went over what we just saw, either in A Nightmare or in another time they did one too, which I didn't think those were very effective. I just felt it was slow.
It was a little bit slow. I mean,
but the characters were
fine. More a drama.
Yeah, except they do get...
Or whodunit, a crime drama is really what it is.
Yeah, but there's killer bees in it.
Which I'm sure you have lots of facts for us, Karen, about killer bees.
Not a ton, but,
I'm pretty sure they can't survive that far north, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they can.
No, they're pretty much in Texas and California. Although it's getting warmer, so they'll be able to move.
I didn't write anything else other than what we've already talked about.
that was maybe a little iffy for me. You have anything else you didn't like?
No, I think like the characters were pretty good. Doris was, it seemed like the husband was maybe having something going on with
Yeah,
Doris, or at
I
least
made a
he was
note.
supposed to be
They're flirty.
handsome or something. And I don't know. There's a lot going.
Well,
It's a
I have
little
the feeling
soap
it's a
opera,
small island and there ain't much to choose from.
right? So it's a little soap
The small
opera going in
cast.
there. Yeah. Yeah, but that's
Once they
what
get on the
also makes
island,
you
it's like
leads you to the
4 people.
conclusion right away,
True.
because there aren't that many people in it. I mean, the bartender's also the constable or whatever, like, which happens, I'm sure, in very small towns.
And he's the spreader of the news too. He tells everyone, well, a couple people on the island, what's going on? What's
The
going on
same
with
two
your
people
neighbor?
that there's nobody in there but the characters we know.
Yeah, but
They didn't
apparently it's
even,
the off season, they say at one point. So
yeah, they do. It
maybe
sounds
it's
like,
more touristy in the summers. I
I
don't know.
agree. You're right.
Like
It
it
looked
almost
like a
sounds
pretty
like he runs a
place.
bed and breakfast or something at the
Yeah,
farm.
I think that's what it is.
All right. Anything else?
No,
Okay. All right. Are we ready to move on to our cocktail rating?
I think so.
Would you like to hear a review from the time or two, Karen, first?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So before we do that, I need to tell you this has a 1.5 out of 5 stars on Rotten Tomatoes, or 12% approval rating, and a 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't have any Google information, so I can't make you guess.
That's too bad.
I have 2 reviews, Karen. The first one is from the New York Times, and I will read it in its entirety. It's from May 20th, 1967, Karen.
So a year later?
Yeah. I think it might have been released in the States later.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay. That makes sense.
Having handled his winged killer so brilliantly in The Birds, it's a pity Alfred Hitchcock wasn't on hand to coach the deadly bees, especially the humans, in the British-made double bill that opened yesterday in neighborhood theaters. In case you were wondering, the other film is called The Vulture.
Hmm.
You can bet on one thing for sure. Mr. Hitchcock would never have sanctioned a sloppy, raucously filmed little thriller like this, especially since it stems ever so broadly from H.F. Hurd's classic thriller, A Taste of Honey. It's true. Paramount wasn't even aware of it yesterday, but there it is on the screen, tucked in a corner of the opening credits. Robert Bloch, I guess, who wrote Psycho, has adapted the novel reasonably enough. In the story, a city girl recovering from a breakdown uneasily commutes between a couple of isolated country homes and 2 enigmatic aporists. I don't know, is that a beekeeper or something?
Mm-hmm.
Subtlety and a few brushstrokes here and there might have made this a small gem of terror, but the double-thumbed direction and wavering pace of Freddie Francis nip the quality in the bud. He's the director. There is also a loud, pretentious musical score. And then the guy makes a note that The Birds didn't have one single note in it. There was no music in The Birds. And restrained but uncertain performances by Susanna Leigh, Guy Dolman, Catherine Finn, and several others. The music didn't bother me.
I noticed it once in a while, but
It didn't bother me.
only once I think it got really loud. I didn't note it though.
The film has 2 assets. One is the deft performance of Frank Finley as a scholarly bee master. And the bees themselves make a novel army of murderous stingers when set loose by mysterious gloved hands. Their buzzing nose dives when they destroy a dog, and 2 adults are scary, chilling episodes with some good trick photography. So he thought it was good in 1967. We only wish the bees had routed that blaring orchestra. So that guy, he really hates the music. Next one I have is from Variety, which is always is shorter. And as always is dated New Year's Eve, the year before it was released. So this is 12/31/66, what is stated in the archives. The Deadly Bees is like the birds, only on a smaller scale. It boasts of uneven suspense, a plot long and unraveling, and some gripping cinematic moments provided by bees in deadly pursuit. Susanna Leigh has a mental breakdown from overwork and is sent to rest on a remote British island. The innkeeper is a beekeeper. Leigh stumbles across the chic cottage of Frank Finley, who also keeps bees. A swarm of killer bees soon attacks Dolman's wife, and suspense builds in a manner that viewer does not know which of the beekeepers is responsible for these behavings. Oh, how clever.
Ooh.
Throughout, characters show little emotional involvement, except for Leigh, or Lee, I say it, who has command of all she does. So this reviewer really liked Susanna Lee or Leigh. And he kind of agreed that what you said, it's a little long. Long and unraveling. Takes a little while to get there.
Well, I think it's not just that. I think it repeats things that we kind of are like, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Got
Yeah,
it.
we saw
the
the gloved hand releasing the bees in the credits, and then about 5 more times throughout the film. Same shot, exactly.
Yes. But there's animosity between did you know there was animosity between the neighbors? Because
Was there?
There's like 5 times that. And then, did you know the husband and wife didn't get along? There were multiple scenes. It just seemed to be like, did you get that? Did you get that? Did you notice that?
Yeah. They try to get us to understand what is exactly happening, because every time somebody touches something and wipes their hand on their sweater, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, she's going to get attacked.
Yes.
What's this strange substance on my hand? And for a while I was thinking, what is so fucking important about this fucking pail in the horse's stall? Because they focused a lot on that for quite a while. But it all makes sense in the end. So yeah, it's a little, beating you over the head with stuff, I guess. All right, Karen, what kind of cocktail rating do you want to give it? Because I always acquiesce to whatever you say.
Acquiesce?
Yes, that's what I said, isn't it?
Yeah, close enough. It's a little difficult because there are definitely a lot of movies that are better than this that we've given 3s to. But this is better than a lot of movies we've given 4s to.
It is.
I don't know. I think it's probably a 4, but a high 4. I mean, we've given 3s to movies that are a lot better than this, but this is better than most 4s that we've done. It is.
Like I always say, it's a 3.5, but we don't have 3.5s, so I guess it's got to be a 4.
I mean, I think, is probably the bright spot in the whole thing.
Yeah, I liked all the act. I liked all of them. I didn't care for Mary Hargrove too much, but she wouldn't even answer the goddamn phone, Karen. All she wanted to do was sit around and smoke her Marlboros and feed her dog treats.
They were petty at that point. That's how petty they were with each other. She wasn't going to do it. Just, you can get that way, I guess. Somebody breathes in the room and you're annoyed, using my oxygen. That kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, he really when the dog died and when she died, he didn't really have any emotion about it. And I get that you're petty or whatever, but at some point, obviously they've been married for 40 years or something. You would think you'd have some sort of reaction, but he was very steady, not like almost emotionless, which is one thing I didn't particularly, he didn't resonate with me.
That's because they're trying to point you his direction.
I know, but even the young girl flirting with him, I didn't really get it. I'm like, he's a stone. Like we're supposed to believe there's some flirting.
He didn't really flirt with her.
No, but she definitely flirted with him because he was like emotionless, it seemed like. But,
All right. We'll give it 4. But better than most 4s we do.
Yes, I agree.
I wasn't mad until I spent the whatever it was, $3.99 on Amazon Prime.
Mostly it's a little too predictable. But again, we've watched so many of these movies. Maybe then it wasn't. I don't know. But it definitely was for us. And it's a little long. It's a bit draggy.
83 minutes. So it's under an hour and a half.
Could have been an hour.
And 10 minutes of those are probably credits, or 5 minutes at least.
Mm,
All right. Are you ready to get into it, Karen?
let's go.
Scene by scene. So, spoilers, boys and girls, we're going to tell you the whole story.
You can
If you
probably
want to
guess
watch
it
it,
by this point.
yeah, if you want to watch it, stop now. All right, Karen, The Deadly Bees from 1967.
Here, yeah.
April of 67, apparently. I did notice in the credits it did say copyright 1966.
I saw that too.
So that must have been when it was released in the UK. Did you have warnings on yours when you watched it? Okay,
No.
there weren't. I didn't remember seeing any either, but there, if you click on the details in Amazon Prime about the movie, it gives you warnings.
Oh,
And I always
smoking,
look.
smoking for sure.
I always look, but lots of times there aren't any, but they show up. But if there are some in the beginning of the film, it's usually in the details. So it's warnings for violence, alcohol use, smoking, and foul language, Karen.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember any foul language
Hmm.
at all, unless I missed some British term or whatever. Film opens and we have a hive of honeybees. I wrote because I know they're honeybees because they're making honey, Karen, right? In a hive there. And we see credits as someone with gloved hand releases the bees. This is the
Yes.
first time we see it.
So there's slats in the beehive.
Yes.
It's a wooden beehive. It's not a natural beehive.
Right.
They're pulling out the slats and shaking it to get the bees to fly everywhere.
And I made a couple notes during the credits that the furs are by Dean Field Models, Karen. And there are a couple songs credited, including It's Not One I Need for You, sung by the Byrds. And it's from the novel A Taste of Honey by H.F. Hurd, as I've already said. Then we cut to a building that has a sign on it that says Whitehall. So I guess we're in Whitehall.
And some sort of ministry,
And,
like
yeah, some ministry. I don't. They never say what they
coppers.
are. They're a
No.
ministry. I don't know. They weren't wearing like crosses or priest garb
No,
or
I think
anything.
it's I think it's policemen.
Or it could be a ministry of science or something. Or
I don't know, but
I don't know.
I think it's government, maybe.
Yeah, it's some government thing. But they receive a letter from a man that says he has created killer bees, and the other guy says, "Oh, we get one from him all the time," and then he just dismisses it.
Yeah, there's two guys in there, and the one who opens the letter seems intrigued by it. The other guy's like, "Oh no, not him again. He writes to us all the time."
So then we see the Byrds playing their song featuring Ronnie Wood, as you called him, Karen.
Isn't that what you? Sorry, we're close. So the Byrds were an English rhythm and blues band formed in 1964 in London. They recorded fewer than a dozen songs and released only 4 singles. Started out as a hard R&B sound, they later began infusing it with Motown-style vocal harmonies. The best known member of the Byrds, according to this, is Ronnie Wood, playing lead guitar, who went on to join the Jeff Beck Group, the Creation Faces, and later the Rolling Stones. Not to be confused with the Byrds, which
The
replaces
Creation, the Faces, right? And then,
yeah.
Okay.
Did I run them together?
Yeah, you kind of ran them together there. That's fine.
Sorry.
And apparently they're filming some TV show or some shit. And then we meet Vicky, and I wrote, is she part of the management crew?
She looks about 40. I said,
what?
She looked old. I don't know, like in her 30s to be a pop star. She looked old, but they're convincing her she has to go out. And it's funny. They're like, you just have to do 2 shows tonight. And they start listing all these things, and then blah, blah, blah. And then this, and then that, and then you can go to bed. It's like, wow, she's got a lot to do.
She was 21 years old when she did
I'm
this
sure
film.
it's fine. It's just, it must have been the shot, because she doesn't look older later. It was something to do maybe with what she was wearing or whatever.
Well, she's acting like she's about to have a mental breakdown. Because I wrote, she is struggling and she is tired. That's why I thought she was part of the crew, and she was like, she was with the band. They were on the road or whatever. And right here I wrote, Ron Wood is playing a Telecaster with a nice paint job. I like the paint job on the Telecaster.
I wonder if they thought, oh, cool, we're going to be in a movie.
Well, I'm sure they did, Karen.
You know?
Then I wrote, Vicky is actually a
performer. And then we see her lip syncing for the camera, wearing a fur coat
But
provided
she
by
starts
Danfield
off,
models.
yes, she starts off facing away from the camera, and she can barely, she's so tired, she can barely move her mouth to
But she pulls
lip
it
syncs.
together.
Yeah, she does. She's a professional. She turns around and starts being the pop star.
And then we get lots of shots of the cameras moving in and out. And like, I'm sure we're supposed to be seeing her view and like it's freaking her out or whatever, right?
It's a little disoriented, yes.
And then she collapses.
We just hear a thud.
Then we cut to the doctor ordering, he says 3 weeks is what he says. That's what he tells the agent.
Yeah, and the agent's upset.
Yeah, he calls his buddy and on an island in England.
Arranges for her convalescence on Seagull Island.
Calls his buddy, Hargrove. And right here, Hargrove and his wife have issues. It only took this one scene for me to get it, Karen.
And he's cranky.
Is he?
Well, she won't answer the phone, so he's huffing and puffing when he goes in. But yeah, they don't like each other very much.
So he answers the phone and says, yeah, sure, it's fine. It's the off season, so she'll probably be bored, but she'll get plenty of rest and relaxation if that's what she wants, because there ain't nothing going on. Then we see Hargrove going to the pub. I like him more and more every time I see him, Ken.
And also we see that the wife is basically hand feeding the dog. All she's interested in at this point is the dog.
And her Marlboros.
Lighting one after the other, I'm sure.
Apparently, because she's always got one in her hand.
Yeah, she's probably lighting one with the previous one.
I've done that a few times, Karen, back in the day. Chain smoker. So he goes to the pub and has a double. And he asks to see Doris, the pub keeper's daughter, to see if she will be willing to help at the house for a few weeks, he says.
Because his wife isn't up for it.
She comes out and she does, especially, seems very flirty.
Yes.
And Doris has heard of Vicky, so she is popular. So then we see Doris at the farmhouse fixing up the place and, arranging cut flowers and whatever. Hargrove tells her, everything's beautiful. I don't know what I would have done without you.
Well, and the wife wants to know where the dog's meat is. And Doris tells her it's in the larder, which I was like, what is that? So if you'd like to know, a larder is a cool area for storing food prior to use. Originally, it was where raw meat was larded, covered in fat, to be preserved. By the 18th century, the term had expanded. At that point, a dry larder was where bread, pastry, milk, butter, or cooked meats were stored. So it's like, what do we call it? Like a fruit cellar probably, or something, where it's cooler and you keep the food down in there. Yeah. But a larder. But yes, he compliments Doris.
Hargrove arrives with Vicky in his Land Rover. I tried to look up what year it was and all that shit, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, and I said she's got quite a bit of luggage for 2 weeks, like 3 suitcases and
2.5, 2 and I don't know, one of those smaller ones that I don't know. My mom used to have one of the smaller ones,
cosmetics case or a hat box.
Right. So then we see Vicky. I wrote dinner, but I think it's breakfast they're having.
I said at dinner, but I think it's breakfast too, because they said have some more toast.
Yeah, toast and
we
honey.
do find out the dog's name is Tess.
Yeah, but I never call it by that. And I wrote, apparently the honey is very good. And I wrote, must be breakfast. And the dog makes a connection with Vicky.
Yes.
That's the important thing we're supposed to get out of the scene, I think.
Yes.
So then her agent
calls
to be sure she arrived safely.
Have a nice rest.
So then Vicky goes for a walk with the dog. The dog chases a cat into a neighboring house.
But she's in like a suit with heels and she goes for a walk in the country.
As you do,
funny.
Karen.
Is that what you wear when you go for a walk in the country?
And then she meets Manfred.
Yes.
He invites her in. He's another beekeeper, apparently.
And likes to pin butterflies in frames.
And he opens a cabinet door and shows her his hive. He keeps it right there under a glass so he can keep an eye on them. And Manfred invites her over to have some tea and honey later. He says that his honey is much better than Hargrove's,
Yes.
but don't tell him.
Yeah.
Then we see Vicky in the library. I wrote, that's what I thought it was, but it's Hargrove's office, basically, looking at
It's the
books.
study. Yeah.
And
she's got the radio going.
He comes in and she wants to borrow a book on bees. Hargrove warns her about visiting Manfred and that she should not mess with things she does not understand.
He does say his bees are dangerous. So she's got an interest now. She's wants to just look through a book and see what's going on with the bees.
Then next I have it's apparently nighttime because she's asleep. Hargrove goes to the barn and the horse makes noises, and this is when we get the first shot of the bucket. I guess wakes up Vicky. She gets up to have some milk. And when she's getting the milk, she looks into the other room and sees Hargrove in there with a very large needle, Karen.
Yes.
So you were triggered quite a bit in this film, weren't
This film's going after all of my fears.
Good for you. Get them all out. She runs back to her room. Then we have a shot of Hargrove and his wife having words. I don't know. And he's injecting a red liquid into a glass jar. I don't know what he's doing.
Is this when she says that he needs to do more work around the farm?
Her farm.
Her farm. It's known that it's her farm.
Yeah.
Something's going on with the bucket.
I thought I was marrying a farmer.
Something's going on with the bucket. I don't know what it is. That's what I wrote.
Yep. But you already know. You've only seen it like once now, and you know it.
Right.
It's important. So then we see Vicky, I guess, next morning brushing her teeth with an electric toothbrush.
Oh, yes. It is an electric toothbrush. A
corded electric toothbrush.
So the first electric toothbrush was designed in Switzerland for Broxo in 1939. Initially, these brushes were created for patients with limited motor skills. The first mass-marketed brush was the Broxident brush from Squibb and Son Pharmaceuticals in 1960. So 1939, I was surprised by that. But
yeah, but the first commercial was 1960. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a good loud one.
Well, they're always loud because when you're using them, because they're in your mouth and the sound reverberates in your skull. Then we see Hargrove cleaning the horse's bucket. I don't know that's that damn bucket again. Vicky goes to the barn. She sees the horse has a lot of wounds. Hargrove comes in, interrupts her, and wants to know what she is doing. He tells her the horse is sick and that the vet told him to keep her stable and quiet. Good day.
Yeah, she does say she does a lot of riding. I don't know if that was a lie or...
She seemed genuine. Then I wrote the dog is very interested in the rag that Hargrove was using to clean the
bucket out.
And Hargrove gets angry and hits the dog with it.
After the dog has kind of sniffed it and
pulling at it out of his hands or some shit, whatever.
But Vicky's not impressed that he was angry at the dog.
Hello, boys and girls. You know, doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show. So then Vicky asks Martha to use the phone, and she is told it's out of order. Well, Martha's smoking a Marlboro again. Then we cut to her agent again, trying to reach her.
Yeah, he's getting antsy. If she's not back, they won't have a Christmas album or Christmas
single.
Something to sell for Christmas, I guess.
Then we cut to Vicky at Manfred's house, and she tells him about the puncture wounds on the horse. Back at the Hargroves, the phone is ringing. Once again, Mary refuses to answer.
She just sits there.
Smoking a Marlboro. Hargrove answers, and it's a busy signal, so I don't know what was up with that. I guess
he missed it, I think.
Dead. Okay. So then Vicky leaves Manfred, and once again we see a gloved hand releasing bees. Then we see the dog jumping into the barn. That's all there is. And then Hargrove pulls up in his Range Rover and asks Vicky if she wants to go to the pub with him. Come on, it'll be good for you. Then we cut to a swarm of bees all over the bucket I wrote, and they attack the dog. Mary and Doris hear her yelping, and they run out to find the dog dead. She gone. The voice acting for the dog wasn't very good either.
Oh, the yelps.
Yeah, it sounded pretty human, like someone imitating a dog yelping. So then we see Hargrove and Vicky in the pub.
And no one else is in the pub.
Ever.
I know, it's so funny. I mean, it's off season, I get it, but you'd think a couple other people.
And apparently nothing much happened because that's all I have written. So then we're back at the farm with Mary, and she immediately thinks it's Hargrove's fault. It's all his fault. He did this. So Mary gets pissed off and she starts throwing, I guess, flammable liquid all over the beehives. Doris tries to stop her because she thinks she's going to burn the place to the ground.
Well, it kind of looks that way with all the straw and everything around.
And just as she is lighting the match, Hargrove arrives. She drops the match and it lights the hives on fire. Hargrove takes a garden hose and tries to extinguish the flames. He does put out the fire, and Mary is distraught about the dead dog. Then we cut to Manfred in the pub. Pub owner tells them all about what happened at Hargrove's farm. Manfred says it is strange that Hargrove would let his bees get out of hand like that. Already pushing
He's a professional.
on
Yes.
Hargrove. So then we see Vicky at Manfred's house again. He tells her that he was also attacked by bees similar to the dog. He tells her that a larger killer bee was sent to his hive to destroy it. And once again, he pushes suspicion on Hargrove. He shows her the difference between a regular honeybee and a killer bee.
Okay, so killer bees, from what I can find, Africanized honeybees are dangerous because they attack intruders in numbers much greater than the European honeybees. Since their introduction in Brazil, they have killed some 1,000 humans, with victims receiving 10 times as many stings as from the European strains. So they're more protective, they're more aggressive. They swarm more. They're just, killer bees. The first Africanized honeybees in the U.S. were discovered in 1985 at an oil rig in the San Joaquin Valley of California. Bee experts theorized the colony had not traveled overland, but instead arrived hidden in a load of oil drilling pipe shipped from South America. The first permanent colonies arrived in Texas from Mexico in 1990. And the Tucson region of Arizona, a study of trapped swarms in 1994 found that only 15% had been Africanized. This number had grown to 90% by 1997. So I think they're bigger, they're more aggressive. We've been hearing about them forever.
They're coming for you, Karen.
I know. Every time I hear it, I'm thinking, great.
I do remember hearing about it back in like 85, though.
Yeah, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, wonderful. And that's when they started, I think, to use them in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Although this is way before that. So I don't know, but it became a thing a little bit.
I think there was a movie called The Swarm.
There's been a couple. None of them are really that good, but the idea is always there that, this one's a little different in that it's almost mind control. It's not natural so much. He says
it's somewhat natural because
but he's developed a way to focus their energy. Whereas the birds or other movies like that, it's not as focused. It's random almost who gets killed.
So then we see Mary outside smoking a Marlboro again. Doris leaves and tells her good night. Next, we see the gloved hand releasing bees again.
But I mean, they don't even fight over the fact that the dog is dead and she tried to burn all his beehives down. It's just they wake up the next day and just go about their business.
So then we see Mary in the barn getting honey. She takes the bucket and puts it in the horse's stall. And she wipes her hand on her sweater and her face.
Yes, that was a bummer.
So this is when I'm thinking, oh, that's why the bucket's important, because there's something on it. And she just put it on her. Bees attack. I wrote something in the bucket attracts bees, question mark. Bees all over Mary, stingers injecting skin. Mary collapses, she gone.
So there's a couple of good shots of a lot of bees on her head and on her face. And they do have her, at least her face is all red.
Yeah, once her body is lying on the ground there, after when he discovers her, it's very swollen and yeah, you can tell. Bad. Hargrove arrives, finds her body. Vicky watches as he carries her inside. Then the pub owner decides to go out to Hargrove's house, tells his daughter Doris that she should not go anymore. He tells Hargrove he will radio for the police and medical examiner in the morning. It can wait till the morning.
Yeah, we'll just stay in the house with the dead person.
Back at the unknown ministry, they see an article in the paper about bees, and they wonder if it has anything to do with the man who has been sending them letters.
They're doing a crossword puzzle.
Or at least one of them does.
Yeah, do you think it's like a commentary on the government doesn't pay attention to anything? That's a little hard over the head. They're hitting you too, because they're doing the crossword puzzle. And
then we see the police at the Hargrove farm investigating. Then we cut to Vicky at Mansford's house. He tells her about a death head moth, which emits a high-pierced sound that renders the bees helpless, or docile anyway.
Yeah, so that's a real thing. Death's head hawk moths have developed several strategies for infiltrating beehives undetected. Firstly, they are able to mimic the scent of honeybees using chemicals called pheromones. This scent allows them to approach the hive without being attacked by the guard bees. The guard bees would otherwise recognize them as an intruder. Once inside the hive, the moths typically head straight for the honey stores. Here they feed on the honey using their long proboscis. I always say that word wrong. Their tongue. They may also consume pollen and occasionally prey on bee larvae. However, bees have developed several defenses against these moth invaders. So they do gather around the moth in a ball and vibrate their wings to generate heat. This raises the temperature around the moth and makes it difficult for the moth to maneuver. It will either overheat or suffocate, and then they physically attack it. They do emit a high-pitched squeaking noise, which can deter bees from attacking it. It is thought that this sound may mimic the sound of the queen bee, which would normally calm the colony down. So that's what he's got there.
And he has a recording of it that he made, and he is able to use it to make the bees subdued, and he demonstrates it on his side.
And so there's excellent bee acting. They do get calmer.
No,
they did.
The bee sound effect is turned off, is what it is. They just turn off the buzzing noise, Karen. The bees don't change.
They aren't flying around as much.
So Manfred believes that Hargrove tried to kill him. He asks Vicky to try to find proof at Hargrove's office.
Yeah, I think he's lying to her and saying that he was attacked by bees too, to set her up to help him find any information she can.
Then we cut to the inquest, Karen. The inquest. And they're questioning Vicky. And she talks about how the dog was interested in something in the stable.
Yeah, and you see Manfred react to that. So you think it's like, oh, she saw something. But I think he's just putting it together in his head, what might be happening. And she's wearing an amazing hat during the inquest.
Well, you have to get dressed up for the inquest, Karen.
Well, I would think so.
So then they're questioning Hargrove, and we learn that he's the beneficiary of his wife's insurance, and he also receives the farm if she dies. Then the court very quickly comes to a finding of death of misadventure.
Death by misadventure, which I looked it up. In the United Kingdom, death by misadventure is the recorded manner of death for an accidental death caused by a risk taken voluntarily. Death by misadventure. I like that. Yeah.
Then we cut back to got Manfred and Vicky again, and he asked for Vicky's help some more. So then we see Vicky snooping around Hargrove's office with a camera, Karen. This movie's coming up all Karen. You got bees, you got needles, you got cameras.
Yeah, she needs to turn the camera, though, to take a picture of paper. When she's taking it, it's horizontal. When they're developing it, it's
True, it is.
Vertical.
Yeah. Portrait.
Yes, versus landscape.
Yes. And I wrote, I don't know why, but according to the clock, it's 2:15 a.m. on the wall. And Vicky closes the window curtains, but when she does, she knocks over a chair. Then she turns on the light and begins taking pictures of Hargrove's notes. And then she's manually winding it forward every time, Karen, and then it jams.
Yes. You hate when that
Is
happens.
that a thing?
Not that unless it's loaded wrong. It
Mm.
used to have to thread it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't, I guess it could jam.
So then she just takes a stack of notes and leaves, opening the curtain before she does, and we see Hargrove outside the window watching, peeping,
Yep.
peeping in on his office.
Peeping on his own house.
So then we see Manfred developing the film, or the photos.
Yeah, I thought, oh, she uses the dark room too, but it's him.
It's him. He asks Vicky to turn on the light, and when she does, she wipes something on her sweater from her hand that was on the light switch. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Manfred says he believes Hargrove is trying to develop a compound that will make the bees attack. And then he talks about adrenaline and the smell of fear.
Yeah, I looked up what causes the smell of fear. I don't know if this is right or not, but the smell of fear is a combination of many smells. For example, when we are frightened, the level of stress hormones rise and we sweat more. This also contributes to different smell of our body. In the animal world, fear is also communicated through pheromones. I don't know. He says adrenaline when he's talking to her.
It's really pheromones.
Yeah. But adrenaline might make you sweat, which then would cause the smell or whatever. It's close.
He tells Vicky to take the notes back before Hargrove notices they are missing. So then we see Vicky back at the farmhouse, goes to put the notes back in the desk, but the key is missing from the other drawer, Karen. So she can't unlock the desk drawer.
Again, but then it just opens.
No, she just sets them on. She just sets them down. She panics. She doesn't know what to do. She just sets them down. Again, Hargrove watches from the window. So then we see someone releasing the bees again in their gloved hands. Then we cut to Vicky brushing her teeth with her electric toothbrush in her underwear, Karen.
Yep.
Bra, panties, and a slip. Is that what that is?
Again, what that was from...
Is that what you call that outfit?
Yes. But that's... What Hitchcock movie is that? Psycho, when she's stealing the money? Yeah.
Yes.
So there's lots of Hitchcock stuff in here.
Yeah. And then we begin to see bees on the windowsill.
She's not wearing the cardigan that she wiped the stuff on.
It's on her bedpost or whatever. And she tries to get out of her room, but the door is locked. So then she runs back to the bathroom and locks herself in. Tries to get out the window, but the bees are out there. They're outside her window. So then she begins swatting at them with a towel, and as they're coming underneath the crack in the door, underneath the door. So then she tries to seal the door with the towel. The bees keep coming. So then she pours some perfume on them, I wrote, and lights it on fire using the heat lamp or whatever's in the bathroom.
And some tissues. Yeah, I think when she was at Manfred's house, I think he talked to her about smoke.
Yeah, that's how he survived the attack.
Yeah. So that's what she's doing now.
He was wearing his outfit and had his smoker or whatever. So
right. So she's trying to block the door with the towel, but she also sets it on fire and it's smoky.
The bathroom fills with smoke. Vicky collapses. Doris arrives and smells the smoke coming from under the door. She uses a hidden key and opens her bedroom door. And then she yells to Hargrove through the window to come help. Hargrove runs in and busts into the bathroom and carries Vicky out.
So why was her door locked to her bedroom?
I don't know. Wouldn't you lock your door to your bedroom if you were in a...
Yeah, but she couldn't get out. Yes,
I
but...
don't know. 1966 locks. I don't know, Karen.
Did Manfred sneak in there and lock? I don't know. It was just...
No, well, she locked it, but she found the key, but it was over across the room where all the bees were.
Okay.
On the table there. Because there was a shot of that.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay. I thought that had to do with the desk.
No, she had the key.
Gotcha.
It was just across the room.
Gotcha. I see. I thought that was a key to the desk because she couldn't get into the desk. Never mind. Okay.
Then we see Vicky dreaming about bees.
She has a montage of everything that's happened.
That's what I wrote. A montage of the horse, the dog, the bucket, the syringe, and Martha. She wakes up, puts on a coat, and jumps into the Land Rover. She's wearing a
Is it
raincoat
Martha or
and her
Mary? What's the wife's name?
Mary.
Mary.
Do I keep calling her Martha? I do. I kept calling everybody different names. She wakes up and puts on her raincoat and puts it over her slip and bra and panties and jumps in the
She
Land
wants out
Rover,
now. She wants to get out.
which conveniently have the keys in it. Hargrove runs out and tries to stop her, but of course the car he jumps into doesn't have the keys in it, so he has to get Doris to give them to him through a window, and he chases after her.
I think is it Doris's car?
I don't know. Maybe. So Vicky crashes. Yeah, it probably is Doris's car. So then Vicky crashes. They chase. There's a chase scene, and then Vicky crashes the Land Rover, and Hargrove pulls her out and carries her out. And we cut to Manfred at the pub, getting all the information from the pub owner.
About the crash, yes.
Then we see Doris tending to Vicky. She wants to get off the island.
The boats don't go very often is the problem.
Yeah, every couple of weeks or whatever.
The ferry, probably.
Then Doris leaves and takes Vicky's red sweater with her. Was she going to go to clean it or something?
I think.
And I just thought, well, that's not good.
Not for Doris.
So then Manfred arrives at the farm, at Hargrove's farm, and his bees are there. He apologizes to Hargrove. Vicky eavesdrops, and she hears Hargrove tell Manfred that she is out walking when she isn't. So that sends her into a panic, and she gets dressed and leaves the house. Because Manfred wants to talk to her, but Hargrove lies and says, no, she's on a walk. Sorry, can't talk to her. Good day. He's not being a dick. He's trying to protect her because I think he knows what's going on. So then we see Doris walking through the woods carrying the red sweater or cardigan.
Suéter rojo, one of the few things I know from Spanish. Yes, the cardigan.
Bees swarm. Doris runs. Cut to the pub owner at the Hargrove farm looking for Doris. Hargrove tells him she left an hour ago. And I thought, oh, okay, they were going to go look for her, but no. Pub owner says, okay, good. Okay, good. She'll be ready to work. Then we see Doris running through the woods, bees everywhere. Doris drops the sweater and then collapses into a stream, a small stream.
Face down. I thought she was a goner, but she dropped the sweater pretty far away from her.
Then we go back to the unknown ministry. I guess the guy's supervisor is calling him and wants to know if he saw the newspaper article and wants him to send someone out to investigate. He doesn't sound very happy from one side of the conversation. Then we see Vicky at Manfred's house. Manfred tells her they will get her off the island as soon as there is a boat. He's going to leave to investigate the Hargrove farm. And Manfred wants to know the name of the book that Vicky wanted to borrow from Hargrove. She tells him. Then we cut to Manfred at the pub. So I guess he has to stop at the pub before he goes to the farm. And the pub owner wants to question Vicky about what happened to Doris. She's alive, but she's ill. Then we see Manfred at Hargrove's farm. He's come to collect her bags, ? I wrote. Guess he is. Manfred tells him Vicky insists on staying with him, and he asks Hargrove to borrow the book.
Which is weird, because Hargrove's like, sure, I'll go get the book for you. It's just
a fucking book.
I know, but they hate each other. I wouldn't give him a book. You come over I'm not giving you anything.
He's being sly and cunning. Back at Manfred's farm, Vicky discovers that Manfred has the exact same book in his library already. So he's a liar.
He doesn't need that. Yeah.
He lied. Come back to the Hargrove farm, and Hargrove gives Manfred his copy of the book.
So you did notice.
And tells him to keep it. You don't even want it back. You don't care about it.
He asks for the book. Manfred says, okay. He slams the door in his face to go get it. When he's bringing back the book, you see that the door is ajar.
Yeah, I did notice that. So then Vicky begins to suspect that Manfred is not who he appears. Just then, Manfred arrives with her bags. We see Vicky in the dark room looking at the photographs.
She also opened the door to a laboratory.
Yes.
briefly.
Manfred enters as Vicky is running out to leave, ? I wrote.
We're trying to get back to where she was in the first place. I couldn't tell.
He enters and locks the door behind him very sneakily. Then Manfred notices that the door to his bookcase is open. He asks Vicky to pour some tea. And then he admits that the killer bees are his.
Yeah, he does the Batman reveal.
That's exactly what I wrote. The Batman moment is what I wrote. Manfred reveals all of his diabolical plans.
Yep.
And he explains how he put the scent of fear on Hargrove's jacket while he was looking for the book. And Manfred tells Vicky that he has to kill her. So he's saying, yeah, Manfred's going to die and I have to kill you too.
I'm not quite sure why, if he hadn't told her all this stuff, why he would need to kill her. But he tried to kill her before this because of with the sweater and everything. But why did he have to kill her?
I don't know. Well, he says that Mary was an accident. Mary and Doris were both accidents, even though Doris isn't dead. But he says Mary is an accident. He didn't mean for her to grab the bucket and wipe the scent on herself. I don't know. I guess he's this whole time he's trying to kill Hargrove. But
if he hadn't told her the Batman stuff, why did he need to kill her? She would have just left and never known.
No, because she's suspicious. He can tell she's suspicious of him now.
But when she turned on the light, that was when she got the scent on her. That was days ago.
True.
Or now, yes, certainly. But now he's telling her everything because he knows she knows. But then she didn't think anything of it.
True.
He could have just put her on the boat, and that would have been the end.
I thought maybe he was trying to push more suspicion on the Hargrove.
Maybe.
So then we see the pub owner looking at the horse. I guess he's at the Hargrove farm. And he finds a syringe. Hargrove goes out to the barn and grabs the bucket. He leaves his coat on the door to the stable, and he begins pumping water. Bees begin to swarm. Pub keeper grabs Hargrove's jacket to try to protect himself from the bees. Not a good thing to do.
No.
Hargrove tells him not to move and begins to smoke the bees because he runs after him. But the pub owner is scared of Hargrove. He thinks Hargrove is the killer. So Hargrove tells him to get rid of the jacket. Hargrove takes it from him and throws it aside, and then he smokes the bees. Hargrove explains that the bees were attacking. Smokes them.
He uses smoke. He doesn't smoke them.
He smokes them. That's what I say. He smokes them.
He's not killing them. He's smoking them.
Smoke them. Hargrove explains that the bees were attacking his jacket, not the pub owner. He explains that Manfred must have put something on his jacket to attract the bees. He says that he is a homicidal maniac. Cut to Manfred's house. He starts the tape of the moth, the death head hawk moth sound, to make the bees docile. Then he approaches Vicky with a special scent that he has concocted just for her with the liquid. And as he's coming towards her, she grabs a vase from the fireplace and throws it at him, forcing him to pour the liquid on himself and knocking the tape over, the reel-to-reel tape.
Yeah, so the sound is not calming them anymore.
Yeah. Look it up, boys and girls. The bees attack. Vicky grabs a log from the fireplace to try to smoke the bees. She's a quick study, that Vicky.
She is.
She drops the log and setting the house on fire, though.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Then the house is on fire. Manfred tries to go up the stairs. He falls off the staircase. Whatever, in front of her. She can't get out because the door is locked. Hargrove arrives to see the house in flames. He luckily finds an axe and begins hacking at the door.
Yeah, that's what I said. Wasn't that convenient? He has an axe.
Even though Vicky is on the other side.
Exactly.
He just pounding on that door. And we keep shots of her with her back against the door on the other side. So, yeah, whatever. I'm sure she'll be fine. The pub owner throws a log through the window. I wrote, just adding oxygen to the fire. Creating a breeze in the house there. Hargrove busts through the door and carries Vicky out. Once again, this is the third time he's carried her out of someplace, Karen. Hargrove says, then we see Hargrove, next scene, saying goodbye to Vicky. Like a close-up of them shaking hands or some shit. Pub owner takes her to the boat. They drive away. Just as the man from the unnamed ministry is arriving. Credits, the end. All right, what'd you think of the Killer Bee cocktail, Karen?
I like it.
I do too. I think it's a light, refreshing summertime drink.
After some thirsty work, come in and
Yeah, I thought it would be too much lemon, but it wasn't. I think the honey syrup offsets the lemon a
it's
little
like
bit.
almost like lemonade with tequila in it, a little bit.
It's exactly what it is, actually.
Because you get the sugar from the honey and then it's the lemon and then a little bit of tequila. It's just a very peppy lemonade.
I agree. Anything we learned today, Karen?
We learned about the Birds, the English rock band, what causes the smell of fear, what death by misadventure is, about death's head hawk moths, what a larder is, when the first electric toothbrush was designed and mass marketed, and a little bit about killer bees.
Lots of good information, Karen. Lots of learning.
Yes.
I hope you all feel smarter, boys and girls. All right, are we ready to move on to next film, Karen?
Yeah, it kind of makes me want to try the bee's knees cocktail with the gin. But anyway, yes, I think
Not a gin guy.
You're not a tequila guy either, and you liked it.
Well, I like this one. I like the Blanco tequila so far.
So the next movie is your choice.
Oh, is it my choice already?
Yes. What movie have you chosen for us?
Film I have chosen. Oh, it's a Hammer film, Karen.
Ooh, ticking those babies off.
From 1964. So, of course, you know, it's The Evil of Frankenstein, Karen.
I was going to guess that. Is there a reason you chose that?
Well, it was released on May 31st, 1964, and our next episode comes out May 29th. Happy anniversary, Evil of Frankenstein.
There you go. Do you have a drink to go with it?
I do, Karen.
Excellent. What would that be?
It's called the Frankenstein Reviver.
Nice.
You're going to need crushed ice, 3 tablespoons gin. I just said I don't like gin, but here we go, having gin. 3 tablespoons melon-flavored liqueur. I'm going to use some Midori, probably. Or maybe I just have melon-flavored liqueur. I don't know. 3 tablespoons orange-flavored liqueur. I'll be using Cointreau, probably. 1 tablespoon fresh lemon juice from the plastic lemon. And 1 tablespoon simple syrup.
Wow, it seems potent.
It's a martini. What? This makes 2 servings.
Oh,
Karen.
okay.
2 servings. So
okay.
So there you go. Plan accordingly.
All right.
You do you. I will do me.
Yes. We all know how that goes.
I'll have a double. Make mine a double. Yeah, and I think it really, from what I read of the synopsis of the film, I think it'll fit.
Well, that's always a nice surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
More for me than you, but.
So I look forward to that, Karen, next week. One more Hammer film off the list. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, I'd like to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I would like to thank the great people of the Great White North, Canada.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for listening. We appreciate our neighbors to the north, don't we, Karen?
Of course we do. And
the first beer I ever bought legally was in Canada.
Well, there you go.
Because drinking age was lower there, so I could buy beer legally when I visited there. Actually, the first corkscrew roller coaster I ever rode was in Canada as well. Same time, Karen, the same. Bought the beer and then went on the corkscrew roller coaster.
Oh,
thank you, Canada.
Well, that's a memory.
Life has never been the same.
And?
Oh, and the band Verse 13, Karen.
There you go.
For providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast. Sorry, I was reminiscing.
Yes, you were lost in a moment. The music definitely makes the podcast
Drinking
better.
my Molson and smoking my what was their cigarettes? They had weird cigarettes too. Didn't like them. It almost tastes like clove cigarettes. But anyway.
I wouldn't know.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.